Hi, everybody, and welcome to another podcast on Let's Talk Agile. With me here, I have two great pals that I've met. One is, his name is Stefano Rinaldi. He runs a lot of PM programs, teaching other people how to be PM. Has a ton of experience, worked for a lot of great companies in Europe. Some of them are top-notch, and he shares a lot of knowledge with other PMs. And we also have a data expert by the name of Marcus Rabe. Marcus and we met with a mutual acquaintance from Berkeley, and we just got to talking about all of the hot topics, the data, the analytics, the AI, the machine learning. He and his team, they're expert in this field and build a lot of solutions. So definitely somebody that, I wanted an opinion on this podcast, because what we're going to talk about is a lot of the hot topics. And the pink elephant in the room is, what's the word? AI, right? So AI, yeah, it's everybody has it. There's lots of applications, lots of different things. But, what I really wanted to know is, each one of us has our own frame of reference. And I love the fact that we're international, because we get to be exposed in very different ways. And the main question is, what are you guys seeing in the industry? What are you most excited about? And, let's start with that.
Absolutely. But first, a question for you. Since when is AI pink?
Since when is AI pink? I have to ask OpenAI that.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, absolutely. The trend we see you just mentioned large language models. OpenAI have been a hype for nearly a year now, and still increasing. And more solutions are actually built that base on these technologies and utilize them. But as with any good hype, for anyone having seen a Gartner hype curve, probably we will at some point reach the peak of the overinflated expectations, and then we'll see what the technologies will really do for us. But yeah, definitely a huge hype around this topic at the moment.
Interesting. So you're basically referring it as a hype. So you mean it's overinflated?
I think so, yes. A lot of people are trying to build solutions based on large language models that maybe shouldn't necessarily build with this technology, because they could either be built with easier, more cost-effective, more simple solution, or they're not solving any real problem at all. We see this with a lot of our customers that come to us and say, I need a chatbot. Okay, why do you need a chatbot? Everyone has a chatbot. I also need a chatbot. And what is it supposed to do? Chat to people? Oh, okay, yeah, you really need a chatbot.
Interesting. So basically, because it's a novelty, everybody tries to wrap something new around it, but we haven't really proven what's the valuable application versus the kind of fun application. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of it. And also, this being so on vogue, so trendy at the moment, a lot of companies try to implement it without really doing the product work coming from real business needs. And this is pointing at you, Stefano, because you're the expert on that side. I just see it from our customer side that, yeah, quite often they fail to do the groundwork first before they jump to the right tool. In the end, large language models, they're a tool like a hammer. And I mean, if you have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, and you're happy to hit it, but not every problem is a nail.
Stefano, I guess this is your cue for the product management side. I mean, what are you seeing out there?
I think Marcus nailed it in the sense that you say that you are not a product expert, but you actually said it right? I think I repeat it continuously when I talk about it, that firstly, you need to define a problem and really understand the problem before you start going into solutions and what you need, etc. And the same is applicable for AI. I think it's hyped in the sense that there is too much focus on we need to use AI for everything, but there is not so much focus on defining the problem first. And that's the key trend now in product management, in my opinion, of the use of AI. So a lot of PMs are trying to find AI, use AI to define better problem, to get more details around the potential problem, all the stratifications around the problem, to then be able to define and find, the best solution. So actually, really, AI is trying to help on the problem side, and OpenAI is doing it very well, but also their tools. And that's the positive thing that I love, and I myself use it, for example, for a lot of market research, also for speeding up stuff and work on my side to understand the problem better. But the negative point is that on the creator part, because I have two, let's say, souls, right? One is my product management work that I do in different companies, most of the times full time. Now I'm in another company full time, but also I'm a creator online, right? I write around product management, I teach around product management, I read around product management, and unfortunately, a lot of people, don't want to do the real work of writing themselves as the ideas, and they just use ChatGPT for it, and they talk about imaginative problems that they face in their imaginative companies and selling it online. Some people. So that's I think unfortunately that the hot part, hot topic on both negative and positive sides, in my opinion, on product management.
Interesting. So you just mentioned a great use case for the writer's block, overcoming the writer's block. Remember, like in the 80s, when people wanted to write a book, they would go into a secluded place.
But that's amazing. But that's great. I think that's the right approach of using OpenAI, or everything that is AI related, language models. But the problem is that then if you use AI to build your stories, I mean, okay, if you want to start about it, but there are some people, unfortunately, that write online, and it's immediately understandable that it's just written by ChatGPT, probably, right? And probably they use even in their companies. And so, I mean, even worse, right? So I think defining the problem, if we do it in the proper way, AI can be super useful and will become better. So that's, for me, a key trend. I just wanted to add another one, because I think we should discuss also this one. Is another key trend that we don't see right now is regulation, in my opinion, on AI. And it's less sexy to talk about, but we don't have to forget that will come regulation, and we will need to adapt to it in the future. Yeah.
That sounds like a separate podcast to me.
Yeah.
Yes, but still very important. I mean, that actually brings a question from my side, Alex, if I may. Stefano, do you think AI could replace you as a product manager?
A good question. I wrote some posts around it recently. In my opinion, can replace many activities that I do right now, but it cannot replace, in my opinion, two elements that are critical: is the stakeholder management, empathy, and vision, strategic insights, right? These are, for me, the stuff that the product manager should have always, and unfortunately many are lacking. While the hard work, or doing your research, talking with users, putting data together, I mean, AI can just do the job for you, right? You don't have to be insightful so much to get it. AI is enough, but how to envision, how to use those data for your product, how to use, let's say, certain feedback from other colleagues, or how to interact with colleagues to do it in the future, then this is something that I think PMs still are needed. That's at least my opinion. I also need to defend my job, right? So,
of course,
everybody wants job security. Actually, I have Stefano, you said something, and I want to direct that question to Marcus. You said that you can detect whenever something is written by OpenAI or like any kind of AI engine instead of a human being. And Marcus, I have a question for you. So if we as human beings can read a little bit of a passage and sort of understand what is our basis of interpretation, how what is being produced using our own language model is actually sounds less human than we intended to.
I mean, there are a couple of aspects to this. First of all, there are language models where you would have a hard time detecting that this is not a human. We could even create one that sounds and speaks exactly like you as a person, given enough samples of data about how you talk, how you write, in that case, if it's about written articles.
Do you really want to multiply? I mean, that's not a good use case.
I mean, how do you even know that you're talking to a human right now? Maybe I'm an AI bot that just talks like me. But joke aside, that's absolutely possible given the technology. On the other hand, the generic models that are out there, like OpenAI and so on, of course, they have a specific style. And humans can detect that, obviously. And as you can detect the style of another human, if you have been exposed to enough of this. And there are even other tools, AI tools out there, whose sole purpose is to detect AI-created text. So to detect the underlying patterns that you would find in text that is not human created. That's a research field where at the moment a lot of researchers are working on improving those methods of detection.
Primarily in education, right? I mean, education and plagiarism and things like that, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's the same for artwork, actually, with the generative models that can create images. It's the same sort of thing, but there are, of course, underlying patterns that maybe a human might or might not detect, but there are tools being worked on and some are already working quite well that can detect those.
I guess it depends on probably, Stefano, level of context in the conversation, or...
Yeah, I think so. I think Marcus raised a very good point on how you can hardly detect, that is an AI model behind it if you train the AI model with your voice and style and all the, even your avatar, your face, as you said, right? Marcus could be right now a completely copy of them. There are programs that enable to show you exactly as you are, Nicole. But I think probably what's the reality is that there are few people that do the extra step to make sound those posts or those articles exactly as they were, even because sometimes they don't have trust in themselves, so they think, okay, my style, I don't write so well English, etc., and then they translate something in a very cold document or post. I talk about also work, right? Some people at work, I don't know if you notice, Marcus and Alex, but some people at work in your company, they write email using ChatGPT just to make it fancier and nicer, etc. But then it loses also, the characteristics and the efficiency of the people. That is totally fine. We are humans, right? We don't have to become robots. So that's a bit, but it's a more probably philosophical.
So do you mean like losing the human emotion?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, AI in the future wants to also get there, right? To replicate completely the human emotions. This is at least what I see. But on the other side, I see that, let's say there are some people that really don't make even an effort to let AI sound like them. You know what I mean? So also when you write a post, right? I mean, typically you have your own style, your own thoughts, and some people like it, some people not, right? Instead, AI from a written form perspective is just perfect, but that's not how we like writing. Writing is not perfection, it's about style, etc., right? And the same applies in product management when you write a document, a product requirement document, or you work with your field of expertise when you work in the agile context with engineers, right? I mean, that's not important, how you write perfectly or talk perfectly as an AI machine. There are different important aspects of humans that you have to exploit, let's say there.
Yeah, and sorry,
go ahead,
Alex.
Marcus.
No, but I mean, in the end, it's just like, I mean, when my company publishes a blog article that might have my name as the author, it's usually written by a copywriter. To be frank, even though my name is stated there, and AI just takes this one step further. So far, I don't think our marketing department is using that very much to finish articles, at least. There's always at least a copywriter, a human in the loop. But in future, this, of course, is feasible. And but another question, of course, is at what point does it even make sense from a commercial sense? Because at the moment, I mean, while we could train a model to sound exactly like you, Stefano, I mean, that's very expensive to do, and probably more expensive than your time is at the moment, at least. And so it might not make a lot of sense for most applications to go all the way to that end goal, because just hiring you to write something is the commercially better option.
So the unit economics may actually be a little more expensive, but over time they should flatten out.
Yes, and actually for one customer, we have created an application where it is giving people the ability to chat, to interact with celebrities of their choosing. And a celebrity's time, of course, is very expensive. And for some people are happy to pay for being able to interact with their celebrity of style. And yeah, I mean, we've created very models that very well reflect the way this celebrity would communicate.
That's right. If you go to a museum to see to take a picture with a celebrity in a statue, right, you could be happy enough to talk to a celebrity AI.
Exactly.
I actually have an interesting thing that I wanted to note here. So I think all three of us, English is not our native language. And when we learn English, and if we take a look at more of just the English language as a model, it's considered to be a technical language, right? By many standards in the world, English is, like, it's easy to explain things in technical terms in English, very easy. So the emotional aspects of everything that's in English is a little bit, you have to actually learn the different nuanced words that you use in a conversation to indicate emotion. And I think this is where most people don't understand how to configure their AI persona to deliver that sense of self. But that's because most people don't even understand their own persona. So I maybe that's an aspect that that could be developed, by recognizing somebody's persona from a conversation and having the ability to replicate it. Hey, here's a startup idea. One more item that you can put on. There's an AI for that.com. Okay, guys. Let's move on to the next topic. And I think it's very interesting. What do you think the people or you are worried about when it comes to this overabundance of artificial intelligence?
Who do you want to start, Alex?
Just jump right in.
Okay, absolutely. So I think it's a bit different from the worries of the general public, as I perceive it, to the worries of, for example, me being more in the technical details. In general, I mean, I think there's clearly worries around, oh, might I lose my job because if AI is now doing everything, I might not be needed anymore. And a lot of our customers, the staff there certainly has these worries. it's something we need to manage when we build solutions for those customers, because otherwise people will just oppose any change if they are scared of losing their job. From a more technical side, it's actually interesting. I would put out the question, is the current AI the best AI we will ever have in terms of if we're talking about large language model? Because it has been trained on human created content. Every future language models, though, will be created on a small bit of human created content and a humongous bit of AI created content.
So will it degrade over time is the question.
Will it degrade over time? Exactly. Like the human genome does when you have an ancestral relationship. Will the same happen over time with AI? Because it's then always only trained on stuff that it kind of has self-created. No new information is added from the outside.
Understood. Good point. Stefano, what do you think?
I think it's a very good point that I didn't think about, that of course AI will be trained on more stuff created by AI itself. I think, in my opinion, I wrote an article around it that is based on an interview that Bill Gates did around the risk of AIs. He took it more. I can share it also with you, Alex, later, so that you can share it with the podcast. It's a must-read article. There was podcast listeners. I think it's very good because he goes into details on each and every risks of AI, the typical ones, and then he starts to look at in a positive way, probably because they are not risks. So, in my opinion, there are many risks in terms of possibility to enhance, let's say, geopolitical tensions, because I mean, literally, you can build in a not cost way Biden face that says crazy things online, right? And you can make them people believe about it. And you can also share it with many media around it, and people will never know if the source is right or not. But on the other side, there is also the work point that you said, Marcus, around the some jobs that will be lost. And that's for sure, right? I mean, there will be some jobs that will be lost. But I always try to see the positive way of it, that in my opinion, while some jobs will be lost, someone will be created. Probably some new jobs will be created, and they are already created. I mean, think about also, we are having these chatbots exactly that are developing quite more with AI. But there is some work that requires to manage this chatbot. Sorry, that before no one will do when you add the call centers, for example, or physical people. So. My opinion, I'm very positive in general, but I think the jobs will change. Some will disappear and some will be created. It's quite generic, I know, but what worries me probably the most is the regulation in general around these topics that are very critical in terms of geopolitical stuff, right? I mean, AI can become strong enough to start, in my opinion, wars from scratch, or create confusion, or create tensions and movements in the financial markets, and so creating problems to people. Then this is totally feasible already right now, and if we don't regulate them properly, then it's an issue, in my opinion.
I fully agree with you, Stefano, but regulation, of course, is very difficult in that field, because, I mean, it has to happen on a global scale. Otherwise, certain countries who don't play along with regulation will have a huge advantage. And at the end, like we have a new nuclear bomb at our disposal, or might have in the future. And while there was some regulation back then when those were first came around and no one is really using them, it's a bit more difficult to regulate AI, because you don't need lots of expensive machinery to build it and so on. And once you have a model, I mean, it's easily copied and multiplied and used, and that can be done anywhere and no one might know. So I think regulation will be quite difficult. Also, not only talking about governments, but also, yeah, other parties who might wish us ill and might easily get their hands on very powerful models.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
by the same token, there are countries that simply can't afford the technology, right? They don't have the brain power, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the infrastructure or the finances to build something for themselves. So it sort of skews the entire picture of global strength, and they're already struggling, let's say, with economy, right? But now there is this society almost like boosted by additional power, which, you know, we don't know where it's going to go, but obviously there'll be a shift that's a lot larger, and the gap might become bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree totally with what of you say, and I think Marcus, probably, in my opinion, yeah, we are needing probably in the future to talk again with these main providers, let's say the main companies that are building these AI technologies and they are driving this innovation, and they will need to talk with the different governments and institutions, right, a bit more as it's happening right now. Not so successfully, let's say, with Google, Facebook, etc. The big tech is happening, but the results are still not sure. But I think OpenAI, firstly, but then many other will come after that. Will need to have proper conversation, at least with the primary, governments of the world, to start defining some rules as we apply them in the financial markets. There are some rules that are applied across globally. Of course, you cannot control the cross-border markets in some cases, or the over-the-counter markets that are a bit outside the one. But they say if you create at least some rules on what you can regulate, with some rules also for the tech providers that work together with the governments, then I think at least we can control the most important geopolitical risks.
So it's interesting how we started with, hey, it's probably a hype, and we end up in this doomsday scenario, right? Because apparently if it's a hype and we can't really figure out except for playing games with it or doing something very basic, and now we're talking about very huge impact. It seems that the gap between the potential and where we are now is very small. You could take something very basic and have a tremendous impact, let's say merely by generating, let's say, an image and a presentation of somebody saying something that is not actually the physical person, right? So there is the ability to kind of fake and influence with just a small sliver of the functionality that's already available. And that could lead to a big doomsday scenario versus, the applications that we're trying to use it, where, let's say healthcare, where we're trying to improve things, but those problems aren't as simple even with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sadly the case, that the influencing people is fairly simple with AI, influencing people's perception and opinion just by creating enough content in whichever form that sounds plausible enough. And there will be enough people believing that. And even if it's detectable that it's created by AI, I mean, there will only be a small percentage of people actually doing the background check or whatever you want to call that into that. So yeah, absolutely, this power is there, and all the fields where it can do a lot of good for humanity and for the world, healthcare, for example, you mentioned. I mean, there are already a lot of applications out there, but there is a lot more potential, and that's not that easy and takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and I'm mostly concerned about the young generation, right? I mean, they're susceptible to a lot more. We still haven't figured out how they're going to learn. We still have not figured out what they're going to learn. Are they going to be just clones of each other because the information is going to be delivered the same way? We don't know. I think the fact that you can create an AI-generated persona, let's say a model, right, and everybody wants to be that person, but physical versus AI-generated are two different things. but you can now sort of start influencing behaviors and desires that may not be the best in a society, right? So you could be, not everybody's built for perfect abs. Me, for example, I have the face for the radio. So, in lots of different ways, so I think people need to be happy with themselves, and we have to find how to apply it for good, as opposed to kind of just spread this all over and be there as it may. I think there's a lot more careful consideration to the applications, and maybe that's, Stefano, that where you're going to in terms of regulation.
Yeah, no, exactly, right. So I think another point that is linked to it is that I think healthcare is incredible, right? What they are doing with AI already. I mean, if you look, for example, the foundation of Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, right? I mean, they are doing incredible things on the AI side. They are building new models, for replicating DNA and solving important let's say problems, and diseases with this stuff by using AI, for example, is one that comes to my mind because I heard about it recently. But on the other side, what is, in my opinion, still tricky is that they are not so, on the consumer side. If you think about the consumer side, that is the expertise that I have mostly, and consumers, there are not so many people using AI. I mean, we're talking about apocalyptic scenarios here and stuff, right? But I think still the people that use is in percentage, to the overall population, or the people that at least could be a good target. They don't use it. They don't even know about it. I mean, even if I talk with my friends, when we talk about stupid stuff, for example, I want to buy, a good chair or a good desk. I mean, right now the first thing that comes to my mind, I ask AI to get already as a starting point to be fast and already get a good check, for example, of the top desks or chairs that help my back, or that have this range of prices, and they go around the internet and they find the right solution already for me, at least the ideas, right? But many people still don't use it even for these use cases that for me are the most basic stuff, right? So I think on one side we need to be careful on the regulation, right? That is one important point, but also we need to find a way to increase the adoption of AI for good use by people around the world. And right now, this is still not happening because, in my opinion, there is little education around AI. They think about AI as some sort of chatbot that helps you to solve, that gives you some random messages that don't help you, but in reality now can do quite more.
Well, there's one good thing about the AI. Nobody talks about blockchain anymore.
Absolutely. And if we only knew what the next big hype is or will be, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, also about crypto, they're talking less, to be honest, compared to 2 years or 3 years ago. They're talking about less around crypto, right? Right now, there is some talks, but not so much as before.
And it's interesting to follow the investment trends, right? So I was listening to a podcast recently, and there was a discussion around, the AI field growing, but it's growing because of moderate successes that all of a sudden became breakthroughs. And as soon as the breakthrough happened, it's like the floodgates have opened and everybody's running in, investing, and they don't have a practical application yet, but everybody's sort of mining for gold as if it's, the California gold rush, and hoping that, hey, listen, this specific niche use case scenario, applied in this very specific way can be valuable for somebody. So maybe as a competitive advantage, or somebody will buy. And it sort of brings back the 20 years ago when the internet rush started. So I found that comment in the podcast to be very interesting, comparing the two technologies and their impact.
Yeah. And you're completely describing what the Gartner hype curve models, that we're in this rush of the overinflated expectations somewhere on that curve. Of course, we don't know when we'll reach the peak here, but then later on the internet now is a common technology, is very useful for everybody, but probably not in the way 20, 30 years ago we would have thought.
Well, the good news is there is infrastructure. right? So AI exists within the infrastructure of information science, right? So we do have the wires, we do have the networks and everything else. So maybe there's a way that, it can be all contained for the good, right? And maybe that's a way that it's going to move in the future, but that's interesting to see how it develops.
Absolutely.
So let's sort of play a fun game. And I've been dying to do this. It's one of the things that I've been, hoping to connect with you guys. So here we are. We have, product expert, we have a data expert, and you have a loudmouth for a startup founder. And what I want to do is I want to play this game where it's just the three of us and your favorite AI engine, whatever that may be, or maybe a series of them. And I want to see how we can build a successful startup, just the three of us and the AI, right? So earlier, just for the viewers, earlier we discussed, hey, what are we going to build out? Marcus came out with a great idea that he's going to unveil for us now. And the product we want to build, or the company we want to build, is...
Yeah, we need a cool name for sure. And but the problem is, I hate choosing Christmas gifts. There's so many people now, Christmas coming up, I need Christmas gifts for, but how am I choosing the right things for all these people? I mean, some people I know closer, some people not so close. And it's really hard. There's lots of things out there that potentially I could buy, but what is the right thing? What would give people the most joy for the money spent on there? So therefore, what presents should I buy? I think we need a solution that lets me just say, I need a Christmas gift for Alex, I need one for Stefano, and then gives me the perfect things, or maybe even helps me to order them so they get delivered, packaged, all prepared on my doorstep, and the only thing I need to do is hand them over.
Oh, well, you just want an AI Santa Claus, don't you?
Absolutely, that's the name. Oh, thank you. We already have the name.
Oh, no, I don't know if that's the name. This is where we go to our product guy, product expert. Hey, Stefano. So, we want to build a company. What should we call it?
For this, we need to do some user research, of course. That's a typical product question.
Hey,
Answer.
you have only us and the chatbot, so you have to come up with something on the fly. What do you think you would do to generate a name?
What I would do is maybe I would make it larger, right? Let's say in something that help to identify the right presence for holidays moments. Could be Christmas, Hanukkah, could be Muslim stuff, different things that you can have, in my opinion, because then it helps us to increase the scope wherever, right? Because if not, you're closed only to Christmas and only a period, right? If you include holidays in general, or let's say religious celebrations, whatever, that could be probably one focus. So I could call it holidays gift AI, stuff like this.
Yeah, but we don't have to pick out a name. We could just ask, right? So you can ask one of us, or you can ask the chatbot. So
yeah, I mean, this case, of course, what do you think? What could be a good naming? And then we can ask, of course, ChatGPT.
I don't know. I wasn't thinking globally as grand as you have, and you're right. Yes, if we take a look around the world, there's more than just Christmas. But since that's how we started, I was thinking more like an AI Klaus or something. Or maybe everyday Klaus. Because maybe you want to buy gifts every day. Just was again, startup ideas, right? So let's
something that I learned in Germany that I don't know, Marcus, you are originally from Switzerland, right? Or are you based in Switzerland?
I'm originally from Germany, even though I live in Switzerland
now. Germany. So then I heard that people give presents in Germany for many days in a row until they get to the 25th. Is true. Like some people. traditionally? The little gift every day until the 25th from December. That's it.
Yes, as part of a homemade advent calendar, some people do that actually, starting on the 1st of December.
Okay. Well, so Stefano, where are you going with that? You ready to
Yeah,
give
I
us
was just
presents?
saying.
Because it's December. I'm happy to collect.
No, I was just saying as a fun fact that is interesting today, that there are some people that give each other presents all the month, basically.
Okay, so let's make it grand. Let's call it everyday gift. Everydaygift.ai, whatever, right? What's the next thing? So what do we go from there? What's the next step we should be doing? We should probably, again, we have this vision of everyday gift. What's the next thing that we should do?
I mean, what I will do as a product manager as a start, and then I give the word to Marcus for the rest. I mean, I will try to define the problem better, and then I will ask AI to help me define the problem better. So in the sense, okay, that's exactly the problem that we discussed, right? When we started talking, that we use the AI solution for every problem. In this case, I will ask AI to help me to understand what are the typical problems that people face when they need to, in December, find a gift for Christmas. And then I will try to ask AI also to understand if they could give a size of the problem to these problems, what will be the most problematic, let's say, to solve. At least it helps me to start and brainstorm a bit on what I should focus on. Yeah.
Interesting. So Marcus, this goes back to you in terms of market research. So Stefano does something, figures out, hey, we need 25 presents for December because we're gonna go and implement this celebration in Germany, and that's gonna be our home base. And so where do we go from there? How do we know which gifts to buy for whom, and what are we doing next?
Yeah, I mean, and exactly that's the I think the main problem that our new startup has to solve for people. What are the right presents that we need to buy, and how to and where to buy them? So I
Can
think
AI help us with the data?
yeah, I mean, I think the important thing is that we would want to tap into as much information about the people we want to give presents for as possible, and make this accessible to the AI we're using, so it can make give us recommendations based on as much information as possible. And I mean, a lot of people are posting stuff on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever other social media platforms, and might be valuable information, or that we can tap into as long as we can identify them.
So we go and we say, okay, let's put together a list, top 10, parents, siblings, nieces, nephews, grandparents. We make like the whole tree top 10. Then we go friends. We slice it by demographic. Can something like that be quickly generated for us by, let's say, a chatbot?
If it could, every marketer on this planet would pay big bucks for it.
So before we disconnect, I will share a link where every marketer can send us some money for generating ideas.
Yep. Exactly.
But
Now,
at least, Alex,
that's the golden ticket.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I was saying is that at least you can start. AI can help you a lot to define the personas, right? Because, everyone is a bit different, right? But as you know, product managers can always find personas in every product, in every situation. So, and also you when you build your startups, right? So, Alex, so I think in my opinion, right, we can also use AI for it, and ideally AI is also able to have enough information regarding past presence related to, if they have access, for example, to specific companies that provide some anonymized data, they probably have already this information per personas, right? What typically those type of people need during Christmas, right? And then it's a game for us to really try to understand, okay, but what we want to build exactly, what problem of those problems that AI give us, we're going to solve. And that's something that.
So very good. So let's take it to the next level. Now we have a product. Now we have the concepts. Now we have the market research. We need to validate the idea. How would we go about it? Can we use AI to validate the idea somehow? Because I know what's going to happen if we don't validate the idea and we're going to put it to use. Each one of us is probably going to get socks and ties from everybody we know.
What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing. But there's only so many socks and ties that I can have.
Yeah. So Stefano, how would we normally go along and validating an idea like this?
I mean, the old gold way is creating a website and with a call to action where you describe basically, and you start getting feedback on users if they will be interested in such a service, and then you start getting an idea on how many people are interested in that, and maybe gathering also some feedback. But if you add this, by the way, this website could be generated by AI easily without any problems. So, another problem, you need to think about it, but then the AI can generate it.
And can AI capture the analytics of that website? Because obviously conversion is not enough. We also want to measure a lot of other things.
Yeah, it absolutely can. As it can create the page itself, it definitely can implement Google Analytics or similar tracking system. Very cool.
Sorry, Stefano, you were going somewhere before.
Yeah, I mean, if we are even at the next step, AI can be, there is Galileo AI, that is something that they're building up right now that can build the prototypes for you. So you tell them, hey, more or less, I want to have an app that looks like this, that have these functionalities, and they're able to build the prototypes on Figma, for example, for you. So AI can arrive to that level. And then, I need to ask Marcus how we can, for example, share this prototype for feedback across the web for users and gather feedback on it without us doing the interviews ourselves or sending surveys ourselves. So this, I don't know, but this is another way to validate your hypothesis if you have something concrete.
Yeah, I think we're back to the influencing strength, and we could definitely use that strength to spread the word quickly and get many people interact with the prototype, and then gather metrics or make them answer questions if that's what we need to really validate.
So let's say we validate. The next step is we have all of these orders coming in we got to fulfill, right? Obviously, nobody wants to say, hey, sorry, I just sent you a rock for Christmas or a charcoal, right? So you've been bad. No gift for you. But on the serious note, so we want to supply it with some kind of interaction with manufacturers or supply chain or anything else. Is there any way that that can be helped with AI?
We could definitely tap into all the big retailers. Let's choose Amazon and pick the best listing from there for whatever it is, and automatically place an order, get it sent to the right thing. We wouldn't even have to build anything ourselves, any distribution ourselves, because most products are available on these big platforms.
Yeah, I would have said the same. In this case, we just need to be a window. So let's say our main core probably is, finding the right options, and then once the option is found, then we need to be able to connect that option to the amount of shops yeah, we need to for sure connect with the shops, because then we will not be able to connect type of present with the exact gift that is coming from one of these companies, but not necessarily we need to handle the distribution probably.
Interesting. And we can add personalization to track, hey, have you delivered to this address the same gift already, right? And we could sort of do a little bit of randomization because nobody wants to get the same thing. Gotcha. Well, that's very cool. Well, it sounds like there's quite a lot of opportunities. You could actually brainstorm, and here in about 15 minutes, we created Klaus AI, or everyday gift, or whatever you call it. Guys, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining in. I'd love to continue the conversation on other topics again, so I'll certainly reach out. And whoever is watching, I will share Marcus and Stefano's contacts as well. Feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. They're, as you can see, great pals here. You can have an awesome chat. And again, thank you for watching.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for having us.
Stefano.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Marcus.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.